Those of you who have known me long will know that I absolutely, resolutely love Ricky Henderson. He died on Friday, the great baseball player. His gifts on the baseball field are astounding. One great journalist said that he had enough records to put multiple people into the Hall of Fame if you broke them up. I actually traveled to the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York, to see him get inducted one July. I went with my college friend Ryan and his father. My friend's dad, Dennis, snored so loud that the walls in our hotel room shook. And me and Ryan sleepily debated if we had to sleep in the bathroom somehow. Now, Dennis actually died a few years ago, and Ryan, my friend, is still mourning him in some ways. See, his dad and I have the exact same birthday. Well, the day. That would be weird. And they both loved Ricky Henderson too. That's why we all went together. And Ricky was born on Christmas, a true Christmas miracle. And it's all just a mess in my heart, you know? It's all these things that are connected. I try to make sense of it. Someone who held so much of my admiration, who won't be around anymore to astound me, to hear from the stands someone chant John 3:16 and respond, 3:16? Ricky's gonna hit 3:30. Or to get his first $1 million check and to frame it and never cash it until the accounting office from the team called and asked what was going on with the $1 million check. And Ricky said, I just wanted to look at it. What is the world without him? Wherever Ricky is, wherever Dennis is, wherever Ryan is, I just love them so much, and it hurts so much. Of course, if Dennis, my friend's dad, was here, he'd lean over to one of you right now and say, geez, what a drama queen. And you wouldn't want to laugh, but you would, because that was his charm. It's all just a mess sometimes, you know. And I know it's different for each one of you. We've all got our own ways that this works. You're holding your mourning near or far or somewhere in between. Losses don't just stop happening because a calendar rolls a page, you know? Or the earth tilts or wobbles drunkenly as far as it's gonna go and tilts back. They just keep coming. And now we are downrange and in the sights of the holiday industrial complex. The flood of supposed tos, I'm supposed to do this, I'm supposed to do that, and the shoulds, I should do this, I should do that, make the mourning that we need to do and the hurting that we're feeling feel dissonant somehow. The clang of the bells and all of this, it can come out sideways. So right here, right now, for the rest of this service at least, we are going to put a pause on the supposed tos flying around everywhere. And right here, right now, to the end of this service, we are going to stop shoulding all over ourselves, okay? I'm only doing that to see what the YouTube automatic text creator is going to say. This service has been rated PG-13. But it's the midwinter, you know? It's only natural to have the blues, to feel this right now. I remember when I learned the blues, I sat at a piano, not unlike that one, with a scale in front of me on the page, and I added a minor third, a tritone, and a dominant seventh to a C scale, and then I totally understood the blues forever. Because nothing says blues like the key of C, right? It only worked in all the nerdy musicians are Thank you, nerds. We love you. But scales and chords and notes, and in some cases, even words, those aren't the blues, friends. They're only how the blues are shared with one another. They're the means. The opening song, Miss Seeley's Blues, was written by Quincy Jones, who died a day before the presidential election because his good taste has no bounds. He composed the music with Lionel Richie for the movie The Color Purple. I mean, what a beautiful score. And that song has sheet music, but you don't just pick it up and look at it and go, oh, yes, I feel that, you know? You need musicians like Amy and like our band here to pour it out of themselves, to hold the heart that you have that understands, that feels, that maybe breaks a little to that tune, to the words, to the blues. The blues aren't a scale or a genre. They are an art form. They rose up in the Mississippi Delta at the end of the Civil War when slavery was supposed to end. Its musical influences are songs from the lands where persons forced into slavery were captured, that melded with the music from the Black church tradition, from the hymns there, and also with the field hollers or the songs that persons who were enslaved sang while working, including songs with hidden, disguised messages of safe travel, ways to freedom, of incalculable suffering, and of so much more. These are the main influences. There are others, but this is the cauldron in which the blues was cooked. Anthony Pinn, who spoke here last year at a Wade event, is one of the foremost experts on faith and culture in our society and a professor of religion at Rice. Dr. Pinn says that the blues was a transformational moment and movement because it was the first African-American form of expression to point out the utter absurdity of life, while also expressing full and absolute dignity of the individual and their experience despite dehumanizing experiences seemingly all around its authors. But most important to Pinn, most important was something we don't always think about with the blues. It's his sense of play. And I don't just mean to sit and play a C scale at a piano. The play and playfulness are essential to the blues. You can see it, you can feel it up here. They're essential to something being truly and fully felt, experienced, and shared by musicians and then by you, the audience. Pinn says that the lesson at the heart of the blues is this, and I quote, "This music teaches life can be harsh, but in some cases is quite laughable. As countless lyrics suggest, life is survivable and more. One need only face it with vision, imagination, and tenacity." And we hear this in our readings today. In our first reading, Elizabeth goes to see Mary, and both of the women are pregnant. Now listen, y'all. Elizabeth and her husband were a bit on in years, shall we say. Yet she was sharing with her cousin Mary that she was pregnant. In case anyone has any question about just how much of a surprise this was, I offer the King James Version about her and her husband from Luke chapter 1, verse 7. I quote, "And they had no child because that Elizabeth was barren, and they both were now well stricken in years." That James, he was something. And yet Elizabeth was pregnant with John, who was the cousin of Jesus who would go on to baptize him. And as we know, Mary is pregnant then too, but since our faith did long ago reject the idea of a virgin birth, it's actually the person of Elizabeth who is undergoing a miracle. And their family, their cousins, their kin, They're both sharing something wild and unexpected, and in a way, they're delighted and they're almost playful at the absurdity of it all, of sharing this thing that neither of them can explain. And the story that will unfold there. Now, for the Bible nerds, what happens right after this text that we heard? A song. It's not a musical, I get it, but the Magnificat is sung. This song about the humble servant who is coming in mercy, who is coming to the world in righteousness. And the story that will unfold for these children that these women are carrying, it is, I know, in some respects a tragedy, because both of those men will grow to adulthood and be killed by the state apparatus. It's in the beginning there that we hear the start of a blues story. These mothers talking to one another about the future of their children. Our second reading listens to mothers talking too. Nikki Giovanni, who died last Monday at 81, in her obituary in the Times, the writer talks about Giovanni's love of the blues, the way she spoke, the way she wrote, the way she performed was influenced by the way the blues were performed on stages. Even in her spoken poetry, you could hear the cadence. And her poem is a masterpiece. It contains generations. Grandma teaches her child a poem, a song, and her child teaches her son the same song. Mother to mother, mother to son, singing love into this child, singing worth and dignity as sure as the moon shines in the night sky. Her words, I taught it to my son, who recited it for her, just to say we must learn to bear the pleasures as we have borne the pains. I really pay attention to that and the order. We learn to bear the pleasures as we have learned to bear the pains. I think she means the pains are coming and there is no way to stop those. So the learning we have to do in this is to feel and see and know the pleasures and not to feel only the pains. Easier said than done, I know. First, we don't glorify pain, especially pain that people have no control over. In this faith, we do not teach that suffering just deepens a well of joy, so grin and bear it. We know that it can do that, but there is nothing wrong with working to alleviate suffering. Yes, it makes sweeter those moments when joy breaks through, but it's not sanctifying that suffering. And it's not saying that you have to be made to suffer to feel joy. It's only saying that one of the parts of the universe made by a God that I choose to call love is that when you lose a child, when you are counted out or not counted at all, when love is gone from your life, it seems, or when you just don't want to get up anymore, or when you fear you're broken down, or you are out, then, even then, especially then, there is a force of love so powerful that it might leap inside you. Even then, by doing nothing, no supposed tos, no shoulds, the love is waiting, just waiting to be born and to play its song into the world anew, so that we have to keep teaching love's tune here. We have to keep singing love's song. I wish more often than I can say, to never do a funeral again for someone whose parents are still alive. It cracks me open every time. Even now, even though I know the bargain we strike with the gift of life, I know that bargain is that it's got to go sometimes. I know so many of you, so many of us, This time of year, maybe in the way it ends, in the ways so many lives are depicted, the loss of loves we have, the loss of dignity or of jobs or of security, how we hold the loss of health, how for some of us our minds have become our own adversaries, all of these and more. These losses, so many out of our control entirely, make us blue. I know they make us sad. I know they make us grieve. And still, love is coming for you. The moms, they're talking. You can almost hear them. The excitement, the kick. They can feel the life, everything knitting together. I know at times then to come apart, over and over, together and apart, a lot like life, a lot like the blues. Ink on paper is not the blues. Measure after measure, scale after chord change, contracting and spreading over bar lines. It's not the blues until it comes into you and then into life. Just like words on paper are not a religion. They are not a religion. Sermon after blessing, after hymn, after prayer, starting and ending again and again. It's got to come into you to live in this world. See, blues aren't for a faith that's gone. Blues are for a faith that endures despite all signs that it shouldn't, despite every loss and broken dream, despite absurdity, despite suffering, despite fear. The blues points still to a faith we might make real in the world despite the utter absurdity of it at times. John and Jesus, the children of these remarkable women, lost their lives because they would not be cowed into silence by religion, by church, by friends, by family, by authority figures. They spoke truth to power like the powerful, extraordinary women who gave them life and raised them to do it. Right. Blues are truths spoken to. They pierce the veil of what is supposed to be. They dismantle manipulating, mechanized influences. They are more concerned with power than with love. Those influences that are more concerned with certainty than with the beauty of mystery. That are more concerned with dominion than they are with revolution. Blues were born at the end of 3 centuries of legal slavery from a harsh life, and its messengers still found play. They still found a way, a life of vision, of imagination, of tenacity, despite the absurdity surrounding them. In this season, on this Sunday, we bless you, beautiful mourners, you grievers, you people who have lost. You really are, and I think Beth would agree, are heroes. We see you. We love you. If you are blue today, all of you, thank you for your bravery, for your courage to say no or not now to these messages that deny, don't see, or seek to change the pain you're in. All creation has ever meant the most to me started with pain, with labor, and with the newness of life. May the revelation of this truth be the revelation we need to meet any absurdity that lay before us, with the power to play and never stop playing our song of love. We love you all into these days ahead and forevermore. May it ever be so. Blessed be, and amen. Please, sure.